have fun. I don't agree with that.
You don't?
No, I've been about because you don't want to lose the Super Bowl. I mean, getting to the Super Bowl is nothing. Getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl is the thing.
Getting to the Super Bowl is...
Against Tom Brady. Jerome Bettis. First time in 8 weeks that he would play after a layoff, and Bill Cowher didn't waste much time to find out how he looked. How did he look, Tom?
I think that we knew there was some concern. Jerome Bettis had a great practice on Thursday. He was hit early on by Willie McGinnis. There you see swarming Patriots defense, and look at the first half numbers. 5 carries, 3 yards, no touchdowns.
Steelers special teams will become a huge theme. Now, Josh Miller gets off a great punt. It goes 60-plus yards, but wait, there's a flag, and it's kind of fundamental, Tom.
Troy Edwards, the gunner, has to be knocked out of bounds. Then he can come back. There you see him run out on his own. That was a penalty. They'll have to kick again.
So now punting from deep in the end zone. It's the punt for Miller and Troy Brown. Returned to in the regular season, so dangerous as we know. Gets it at his own 45, and Troy Brown in.
His band of renown.
It's up the middle, and he could go all the way. Just like that, the Steelers gave up a punt return last week to Baltimore. They do it again to Troy Brown, and the Patriots lead at 7-0. Meanwhile, this is the scene that Troy Edwards saw.
Troy Edwards, the gunner, this time never gets off the line of scrimmage. You see the guys doing a great job holding him up. That allowed, at least in part, the return.
So it's a 7-0 game. Little panic until Cordell. Okay, this is the Cordell Stewart we expect to see running for 34 yards. And on the same drive, we don't know what we expect to see from Chris Brown. And it straightens out. It's a field goal. Oh, my goodness. It's 7-3 New England. Patriots on 3rd and 9 of the second quarter. Brady is going to complete it to Troy Brown, but watch Lee Flowers hit Brady just as he releases the ball, and here it is. Brady in pain. It's the high ankle sprain, and Brady would be done for the day. The man who has had a Cinderella season, going 12-3, and now he limps off, and that's the owner, Robert Kraft. And in comes, for the first time since September 23, Drew Bledsoe, fit and firing the bullet to David Patton. They don't run, they throw with Bledsoe. He ain't your ordinary backup. Bledsoe nailed by Chad Scott, a la the Jets hit from Mo Lewis. But look at Drew, Tommy. Hey, you know what? I'm fine. Let's go. We're in. So the next play, Bledsoe to Patton down to the 11-yard line. And the next play, Bledsoe. You couldn't write this script. Look at the touch to Patton. Touchdown, 14-3, New England.
Great job coordinating the New England Patriots offense. You get Patton on the linebacker, Jason Gilden. That's a mismatch touchdown back in the end zone. Great throw, great catch.
The Patriots in the box. And Bill Cowher befuddled, just befuddled. Now, we all were befuddled by a series of calls in the first half, and there were more in the second half. First of all, there were 3 challenges right here. They all overturned calls, so you know the officials had a bad day. Second, if momentum is a part of football, replay the way this is run right now is ruining games of this magnitude. And if the challenges are correct and the object is to get it right, why subtract it from those coaches? If their challenge is right, give it back to them.
And boom, I think that games like this will put instant replay under the microscope. And certainly I think that sometimes the officials are getting a little too relaxed with the fact that they have instant replay as a backup.
It dragged this game to a halt, and later on plays that should have been challenged that could not, because the coaches ran the challenges even though they were right. All right, meanwhile, big play. Brandon Mitchell blocks. Chris Brown field goal. Troy Brown down the other spot. And then what? The flip to Antoine Harris. And he could go all the way. Oh, those Steelers special teams. 21-3 New England. They knew coming in, Tom, they would have a big advantage in the special team area, and they capitalized on it.
Brandon Mitchell, a great job of pushing the middle, getting through, making the block. And look at the presence of mind of Troy Brown to get the ball to Antoine Harris. Can Troy Brown do anything else for this football team?
Unbelievable, the game that he had. Now, Pittsburgh in a real pickle at Heinz Field. Down 21-3. Cordell, the famous Amos Zaraway, 19-yard pickup. 2nd and goal. The bus is in. And actually, before that, Zaraway looked like he was in. He hit the pylon. We thought it was a touchdown, but they didn't have any challenges left. Another part of replay that's ridiculous. It's 21-10. Troy Edwards feeling the punt. You know he's got to make something happen. And here come the Steelers. Sheds another tackle. That was Lucky Kabunky Jones. Walter, the punter, the rookie, knocks him out of bounds. But now Troy Edwards helps get Cordell Stewart big field position. And here they go. Stewart complete to Plexico Burris. It's first and goal. And then here's Zaraway. And all of a sudden, here come the Steelers. It's 21-17. But Drew Bledsoe, it's not his first rodeo. It's just his first rodeo in about 4 months. Talks it over. Tom Brady rooting him on like a young kid. Rooting on his mentor. And Bledsoe. A key pass to one-time Steeler Charles Johnson. And Adam Vinatieri. You think he can make a 45 field goal on dry turf? I think so. Good. 24-17, New England by a touchdown. Under 3 to go. Stewart trying to make something happen, but the game was in his hands. Just an overthrow, picked off by Lucky Tabaki Jones from
New Britain, Connecticut.
And so it was just a simple overthrow, and Tabaki, who lays the lumber, does it with his hands.
Yeah, you just take a look there. Cordell Stewart looks like he steps into the throw, did everything right, just overthrew the football.
So now New England with the ball with up 24-17, 2:21 to go. 50-yard field goal to end the game, really. Ooh, it's no good. Vinatieri just misses. First miss in like a dozen. And so Cordell has another chance. But just before the 2-minute warning, it's another bad overthrow to Lawyer Malloy. With Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy, how you can beat a law firm like that? Cordell, 3 picks, all the Belichick family celebrating. And I don't know how much more emotional Drew Bledsoe could be. The man that's been this franchise. The man who last time New England got to the Super Bowl, it was here in New Orleans, brought this team to the Super Bowl. It's his play in relief of Brady, who relieved Bledsoe in September, that gets New England into their 3rd Super Bowl. All in New Orleans, 24-17. Sal Palantonio with Drew Bledsoe.
All right, thanks, Chris. Drew, when Tom Brady got hurt, and they put the ball in your hands, you threw 3 for 3, including a touchdown pass. What was going through your mind?
Well, I was excited to be back playing again. I've been happy for Tom and been cheering this team on all year, but it's always difficult when you don't get to go on the field and play. And so, I was excited to be back out there. I felt bad for Tom, that he got hurt, but I prepared myself for that scenario all along, and I was just very excited to be back out there playing.
Your thoughts about going back to New Orleans to play in another Super Bowl?
Got to win it. To make it to the Super Bowl and then not win is a very devastating thing, and I've been through that once. Don't want to do it again. We got to go down there and win the game, and we're going to do everything. I'm going to do everything I can to prepare us to do just that.
Who would have thought that Drew Bledsoe, the hero on this day? But he waited. Troy Brown, 10 days ago, sat there, looked in the camera, and told me, Tom, do you want to know the MVP of our team? It's Drew Bledsoe, for the way that out public he has handled everything. And now dividends pay off for everybody, starting with the head coach, another defensive mastermind from Bill Belichick.
We've come a long way, and there's the guys that believe in this team are the guys that are standing in that room there, the players and coaches that have been, that have been with it all the way from, the first day of training camp, and we've had, certainly I think our share of adversity, but, the guys in the room believe in themselves and they believe in each other, and that's really all that matters.
I'm not upset at all about it. It's frustrating because we had an opportunity. We were good enough to make it to the big game. But, sometimes the best team doesn't win sometimes. That's just the way it is, plain and simple. The best team doesn't win sometimes.
I like to compete against the best and just come out and make some plays, and that's what we've been doing all year. We had more guys step up today. Tom goes out, Drew comes in and throw a touchdown pass for us at the end of the half. That's where you got to play football. You got to have guys stepping up all the time.
Back to the Super Bowl, my hometown, New Orleans. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Down in the NO, baby!
Well, the New England Patriots now are the biggest AFC underdog to ever win an AFC since 1970 championship game, supplanting San Diego in '94. Both games were won at Pittsburgh. Troy Brown, 8 catches for over 100 yards, a touchdown on return, and a touchdown kind of helped with the lateral. But, Tommy, if you're going to tell me, all right, we're going into this game, your quarterback's going to throw a touchdown pass, but it's not Tom Brady. There's a guy named Antoine's going to score a touchdown, not Antoine Smith, not Antoine Harris. When does it stop being like luck? I think long ago.
Well, you know that we call those a swarm-like series of events.
Absolutely.
But I think that when you think about this football team, let's begin with the physical nature of the game. I think there was a real question, could New England match up physically with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Not only did they match up, I thought they played the more physical football game. Drew Bledsoe played the role of hero today, stepping into a championship game after missing almost 4 months of football, played extraordinary from the moment that Tom Brady left the game until the end of the football game. Troy Brown is a true superstar. And was there any doubt that Bill Belichick was going to come up with some sort of game plan that was going to stymie both Cordell Stewart and their running game as well.
Well, and they stopped the running game. I mean, you know what the numbers are, Tommy. Pittsburgh had 58 yards rushing. Therefore, they made Cordell have to win the game. On this day, and no way do we mean to pour water on this easy that. On this day, he was not up to that task. Now, Bettis, I know he's been kind of your image of the team, but after the first series, do you think he should have kept going with him, Tom?
We asked the question for the last couple of weeks when we thought that he would play, what would be the Jerome Bettis factor? Early on in the football game, you could see that he was uncomfortable. He looked like he was tipping toward the hole. As you gave him those 9 carries, which was more than anyone else on the football field today, I think that he really hurt the team. He made them go away from a game plan that worked for literally 2 months without him in the lineup.
Interesting. This is just football history now, all right? 1972, Miami at Pittsburgh, Tom, in the AFC Championship game. Undefeated Miami, but they were on the road, and we'll explain that later. Earl Morrill had won, what, 9, 10 games in a row? They were struggling. Bob Greasy, who broke his leg earlier in this year, Don Shula said it at them, you know what, Bob, you come in, the veteran, well, our quarterback, and you win the game for us and get us to the Super Bowl. It happened in Pittsburgh in '72. It happened with the Patriots in Pittsburgh in the 2001 season with Drew Bledsoe coming in for Tom Brady. And as we go inside the numbers, well, here you have it, Tommy. Here's what Pittsburgh did all year, and here's what Pittsburgh did tonight.
Yeah, it's a season low, 58 yards, and we both talked with Bill Belichick last week. He was worried about the fact, would they be overpowered by the running game? Kudos to his defensive front.
Kudos to the Steelers on a marvelous season. But New England has now won 8 in a row, and they're heading towards New Orleans. Who will join them? Could it be Nab and Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show? Andy Reid's Eagles 8-1 on the road this year. They played in the first game of the season, and on the first series of that game, there was a fumble deep in their territory, and they did it again. Leonard Little with the sack on Donovan McNabb, and Brian Young recovers for the Rams on the second play from scrimmage. So you give this team a short field, and Kurt Warner and the Reverend Isaac Bruce going to make you pay for it. As was Troy Vincent playing hurt? Was he picked? Was he just beaten? Whatever it was, Tom, it's 7-0 St. Louis.
Yeah, and the Rams do so many subtle things. You got Isaac Bruce in motion, gives a little bump to Troy Vincent at the line of scrimmage. That enables him to beat him to the corner.
Next possession, Philly, Donovan McNabb. Oh, and it's tipped by Chad Lewis and away from Aeneas Williams, who was there. Remember with the 2 touchdowns last week, McNabb has time, and nay. Nate Brown, he underthrows a wide open Nate Brown, and Donovan not starting that well. Warner faking the pass, sends it to Marshall. But early on, Marshall Faulk was held in check by the Eagles. The Rams will kick a field goal 10-3. Then Faulk, then later on, here's Marshall, 21 yards. Then it gets physical. 2nd and 5, Warner the hand up to Faulk. Brian Dawkins blitzing, it's a 2-yard loss. Warner, Dakini drilled by Dawkins and Bobby Taylor. Jeff Wilkins hits the upright on a 53-yard field goal, still 10-3. McNabb, audible, then Correll, General Buckhalter. Clean, yes, idiot, 31 yards. Tommy, now they're running.
Well, you see the signal there, the hand signal, the pat on the left hip. Buckhalter comes off that left hip, does a great job of getting into the hole quickly, getting through, and getting a great game.
2 plays later, we got him out of the witness protection program ourselves. It's Chad Lewis down to the 1-yard line. And so the Eagles first in goal, and they have an ace and they have a deuce. It's Deuce Staley, and we are tied at 10 as Deuce warming his head. This is great, Tom. Warming his hands over the ball like a campfire. Marshall running left. Look at vintage Marshall Faulk. Forget a loss by the yard of scrimmage. Feeling the seam, and the straight arm, Tom, gets him 20 more yards. 31-yard play.
Very Gale Sayers-like when you watch him moving to his left, getting away from a tackle, a potential tackle. Referee does a great job of getting out of the way.
He does.
He's off to a 31-yard gain.
So the Eagles settle down. Now, McNabb to James Thrash. You know, at times the receivers make the good catches. At times, Tommy, the receivers drop balls they should make. Catches they should make it. It's McNabb to Lewis for a first down. Throwing to the back, Staley throwing to the tight end, Lewis. That was the bread and butter. McNabb pump fake. Now it's Thrash inside the 10. McNabb 4 for 4 in the drive. There, you want to see a pretty pass. Oh, my goodness. It's there before Todd Pinkston turns around. 17-13, Philly with the lead. McNabb 5 of 6 on the drive. And after Wilkins, it's a field goal in the third quarter, 17-16. Marshall Faulk getting wrapped, but he would be back, and no one wraps him here. Touchdown, 22-17. timeout, and they go for 2, but they don't make it.
11 plays on that drive. Marshall Faulk touched it 9 times.
And then Faulk from 2 yards out at 29-17 as Philly could not stop it. The Landetta had punted, and so now with 3 minutes to go with their timeouts, Philly trying to make a move, and London Fletcher tries to, it gets called for a flag, delay of game, kicking the ball away before they could maybe review something, and McNabb rolls right. It's a power run, makes it 29-24. Under 2 minutes to go. Philly has the ball again after kicking off and forcing a Rams punt. But on 4th and 7, McNabb to Freddie, and who's there? Aeneas Williams. Aeneas Williams, who was to Andy Reid, can only wonder how close and what a fine season the Philadelphia Eagles have had. I know teams have done it lately, but it's tough to go that wild card route and win 3 playoff games, especially when one is against the St. Louis Rams, the team with the best record in football, team now that is 16-2. Philly played him tight, but in the end, Marshall, just too much. As the Rams used their whole arsenal, Andy Reid after the game just moments ago.
Proud of our guys and the effort that they gave, and you know, we were down a bit and we came back and got down again and came back, and we continue to fight all the way through. Again, you know, you can go back and we'll look at the mistakes, but for every mistake there was a good play in there too. So it's a very empty feeling when you get this far for players, coaches, and our owner and organization. It's a very empty feeling when you get this far and you don't get to the Super Bowl. And
absolutely, but the Eagles, kind of the old-fashioned route, Tom. They lost in the divisional round last year, lost in the championship round this year, but they were up against a team that not only brings their offense, which we know all about, they bring their defense, which was part of the story on this day. But what about the change of the Rams' philosophy on offense a little bit in the beginning of the third quarter? You know what? We're behind. Let's do something else here.
Airing it out throughout the first half of the football game, but when push came to shove, Mike Martz knew where to take the football, and that was to Marshall Faulk. 31 carries, 159 yards. And I thought if they were going to be successful defensively, they had to contain Donovan McNabb. So a lot of credit to the defensive ends. Leonard Little, who caused that initial fumble, and Grant Wistrom, who had an outstanding day all day and an outstanding year this year. And when they don't turn the football over, as they did today, they are very, very difficult, if not impossible, to beat.
Well, the Philly is making that move, as we've said all year long, but let's just put it into perspective for a moment. I know we're a week away here, but if St. Louis is able to come and beat New England in the Super Bowl, that would be 2 Super Bowl championships in 3 years.
Yes.
Now, on the old standards, that doesn't mean that much, but in the modern day, and I mean the last half dozen years,
yes,
that starts to be
dynasty.
Rather impressive. So the Rams and the Patriots here in New Orleans. When we come back, a little more chatter.
Boom, my game ball goes to the 2 defensive ends, Grant Wistrom, Leonard Little, 6 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. They contained Donovan McNabb.
Troy Brown had a game of a lifetime, and total props to him. But when Drew Bledsoe came in, and how about this touch pass late in the game that kept the drive going? Emotional Drew, good job. 4 months not playing, but the...
All right, folks, and we will take a preview look at Super Bowl 36. It'll be the Rams and the Patriots. But first, let's go back to Week 10 when those two teams met, and it was a Rams victory in New England.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe Ty Law had on Howie's hat. That was unbelievable. You looked good in that thing.
Ty, I liked your hat. You know.
Tell what you were really saying.
Not quite what I go with.
You said, what was that? But don't underestimate this Patriots football team. This is a team that's won 10 of their last 11 games. They only lost being to the Rams. But in that game, they had a real chance to go up 10 points right before the half. Antoine Smith fumbled the football on the 1-yard line going in, and then the game just completely turned around. But they really played them pretty even.
And Mike Martz got to look at a very complicated defensive scheme today in Jim Johnson. And next week, he gets, obviously, Bill Belichick, someone who he feels is the ultimate challenge. Gave Mike Martz and Kurt Warner some problems up there, 2 interceptions, threw for over close to 400 yards, 485 yards. Yeah, pretty darn good total offense, but did cause them problems.
Yeah, and but I tell you, you know, that New England, I know the people probably said that. They all wanted the Steelers. I know I wanted the Steelers to be there, but let's face it, New England earned that right, and they will be a formidable opponent for the Rams. Belichick gets it done defensively for New England.
The legend of Terry Bradshaw grows in Pittsburgh.
I wish it was not this way.
I understand, partner. All right.
It does not grow.
We're going to take you back to St. Louis and rejoin Pat Summerall.
All right, JB, thank you very much. And John, I wonder how many times we're going to hear the phrase, who would have thought that New England was going to be there and Philadelphia played them tough? Who would have thought when we did the Eagles and the Rams, the opening Sunday of the season, that today's game would be the classic that it was, I think.
Well, you know, you had respect for the Rams all the way. I mean, I think, you know, all year you can kind of see them coming, and, you know, they looked like the team that was going to be the Super Bowl team, the best team in the NFC.
NFL Primetime is presented by Miller Lite.
If they could do it once, they could do it again, and I think they did today.
Well, as you look ahead now, it's New England. We got a lot to learn about them because we haven't seen them in a long time. The Rams, we've done, what, 6 of their games, I think, something like that. So we know pretty much what they can do, how explosive they can be. What are your thoughts about next week's game?
Well, you know, that's what it's all about. I mean, you know, people can say that they wanted this team to be in there or that team to be in there, and it's not a vote. It's not an election. It's not something that someone...
to move the ball methodically down the field today.
Well, so look at that. There's one of the big things, Tommy. Marshall Faulk, obviously, as big a thing as you can have in football. How about the other things that the Rams did today?
Well, I think certainly we thought that the Rams were at a disadvantage in terms of special teams and the turnovers. They didn't turn the ball over at all. And then you had special teams. They controlled Brian Mitchell. They had the better return game.
Yeah, they did, and Philly thought they would have an advantage in there. Now, it's interesting to note that the last game New England lost was to the St. Louis Rams on ESPN on Sunday night. It was in November before Thanksgiving, 24-17. They've won 8 in a row since then. Tom Brady has a high ankle sprain. I think the way you're going to see this play out is high ankle sprain could be 3 weeks, could be 3 days.
Yeah.
He is 24 years old.
That's correct.
It is the Super Bowl, so if you clamor for Bledsoe or whatever, it's going to be a straight. Can Brady practice? And I think if he practices well at the end of the week, I think he will start. But isn't it nice to know you got insurance? Like
and a lot of the intrigue is going to be Mike Martz versus Bill Belichick. Mike Martz, the great offensive mind, Bill Belichick, and his great defensive mind.
6 to pawn 5.
That's correct.
Hey, come on down, New Orleans. For Tom Jackson, I'm Chris Berman. It's the Super Bowl.
This has been a presentation of
Going to come out
A&E. This is Biography. For January 30th, 2002, Biography with guest host Al Michaels.
Their accomplishments remain in our mind's eye years later. NFL Greats Week continues with Walter Payton. He took whatever life handed him and ran with it. Hi, I'm Al Michaels. From humble beginnings to the Hall of Fame, Walter Payton gave his all on the field and off. His record-setting career with the Chicago Bears provided some of the game's greatest moments. But the man friends knew simply as sweetness just wanted to be a regular guy.
On a perfect autumn Sunday in 1999, the National Football League paused to mourn the passing of one of its legends.
Ladies and gentlemen, before today's kickoff here at Lambeau Field and throughout the National Football League, we're going to honor Walter Payton's passing with a moment of silence. So please stand to honor number 34 of the Chicago Bears, Walter Payton.
He played the game like a warrior. He played it hard all the time. He asked no quarter, he gave no quarter. He was a great example of what a professional athlete should be on and off the football field.
For 13 seasons, Walter Payton played football for the Chicago Bears. By the time he was through, he had driven himself to redefine how players prepare, how role models are judged, and how legends are remembered.